We are so close to the end of the GCSEs and you have a whole day to prepare for your final science exam. So here are my top tips for math skills to help you be successful in Physics Paper 2. Hi, I'm Dr. De Bruin. I'm a GCSE and A-level science teacher and I also make revision videos on YouTube. You should know that 30% of the marks in GCSE Physics are for math skills at an appropriate level. That means if you're sitting the higher tier papers, then it's got to be at least GCSE foundation level maths. And if you're sitting the foundation science exams, it's got to be maths that you learnt at secondary school. First up, it's obvious, but make sure that your calculator is in the right mode. So all of your angles are in degrees and your answers aren't coming out in standard form or anything weird like that. Lots of questions in the GCSE science papers have a final mark for rounding to 3 significant figures or 1 decimal place. And your teacher might have told you if you don't know the answer, then write down something and round it to the right number of significant figures. But they might not have told you, or they might not have known, that AQA will only give you that rounding mark if you've already done a calculation using all of the numbers in the question. So if you're really stuck, you need to explicitly write down every single number, times them together, say what the answer is, and then round that. If you haven't used every number, or if you haven't shown the working, then you won't get that mark. Next, graphs. If you're asked to label the x-axis and y-axis, they mean with the physics term. So write force and extension, not just x and y. Particularly if you're sitting the higher tier exams, then it's really likely that the scale of the graph won't be a small square being 1 or 0.1. So I'd strongly suggest labelling the intermediate grid lines to make sure that you've got the scale right. If you're plotting data, then tick off each row of the table as you do it. Every year we see students missing out the first row of the table, particularly if it goes through 0, 0. You need to draw a line of best fit even if the question doesn't explicitly ask you to do it. If your data have a linear relationship, then make sure you use a ruler and count the points above and below that line. But don't forget that you can also have a curved line of best fit if that's what your data do. You could be asked to extend your line of best fit to make a prediction outside of the range of your data. Say you measure forces from 10 to 50 newtons and then you have to predict what happens at 60 newtons. If that's the case, then you need to extrapolate it on the graph. Draw it with your pen, don't just put your ruler down and then read off the number. If you're aiming for top grades, then the hardest math skill you're likely to get on this paper is drawing scale diagrams to resolve resultant forces. This is tricky to do, and in the last 5 exam series, it hasn't come up. If you've got no idea what I'm talking about, then I do go through it briefly in the forces part of my whole paper 2 summary video. Make sure that you've had a good look at the appendix in your specification that lists all of these mathematical skills. There's a full list of all of the things that you need to be able to do in that specification. Good luck for Friday, and I'll probably be back tomorrow with some last-minute revision tips.